Well, good afternoon. It's Sunday, October something or other, 4th or 5th. Stand by. Excuse my Sunday best here. So, I wanted to do a quick video. I told myself I wasn't going to do it. That kind of shows the configuration of this Power Commander 5. I don't know if you can see or not that this is a MacBook, but this is a MacBook running Boot Camp with Windows 11, I think, on one of the partitions. So Power Commander 5 software only works with Windows. It does not work with Mac. So we're going to start a screen recording here. Give her a little clap for synchronization. And simple as just plugging this thing in. It downloads the map. You can see down here at the bottom, I put these notes in. It's for a 2019 FLT RXS, which is a Road Glide Special. 114 cubic inch M8 with Reinhardt Racing Slimline True Duals with a 4-inch muffler and Reinhardt Racing high flow air intake. That's all the performance parts that are on here, is the exhaust and the intake. So down here in these fuel tables, these numbers represent a percent of fuel being added or subtracted from this RPM coming down the left side and this throttle percentage going up the top. This is the actual map that the bike runs on. Up here, we've got the auto tune. We've got a target air to fuel ratio. Anywhere from 13.6, there's some 13s up here, to 14.5. 13 to 1 is basically pure performance. 14.7 is what they would consider the most fuel efficient. We don't have a most fuel efficient on here. We've just got 14.5. That's close enough. I've got that same target air to fuel ratio table on all 6 gears on both cylinders. Now, this trim right here is where the auto tuner, which is kind of mounted to the seat post there, the backrest post, it connects to, see if I can pull you down here. You can see right there is a wideband O2 sensor, and you can kind of probably see one right there. I don't know if you can see it or not on the front cylinder. The Power Commander, or the auto tune, senses the air to fuel ratio from those wideband O2 sensors, sends that information to the Power Commander 5 right here, via a CAN bus connector. And the Power Commander 5, so we'll get back to the screen here. You can see where that cell is yellow right there. When the bike is running, that cell will show you where it's sitting in the throttle percent and the RPM. So imagine that cell was moving with my mouse cursor here as we climbed up the RPM and the throttle percentage. Every time that cell, or that the throttle percent of the RPM, every time they pass a certain cell, it will sample the air to fuel ratio at that location, send the information to the Power Commander. Power Commander goes, yep, that's where it needs to be, or nope, we need to change that, plus or minus. in percentages of fuel, like I said on that original table. And then it sends the information back to the auto tuner saying, okay, make these changes and we'll sample it again next time we pass. So it's kind of like a 3-pass deal. Sample it, change it, sample it again. And that sample it again, if it's not where it needs to be, it'll start the process over again. So really, I was talking to somebody yesterday, they said they recommend having these things plugged in for 3,000 miles. I kind of thought 3 months, so you're kind of, I don't know, doing various weather. I guess 3,000 miles in 3 months in my case is about the same. So 3,000 miles, good recommendation for how long to actually run this. You don't want to run it all the time throughout the entire life of the bike. You're going to get carbon buildup on the wideband O2 sensors. Your air filter is going to get dirty, stuff like that. The temperature is going to change. It's a good recommendation to find some 70-degree days, and plus or minus, you know, and just ride as much as you can throughout the entire throttle and RPM range as you can to get as much tuning done as you can in that temperature. That's a good median temperature for what your typical everyday person rides a motorcycle, whether it be your weekend warrior guy or somebody like me that rides all year long. I'll ride up to like 104 degrees. I'll ride as low as about 27 degrees. 70 degrees is a good median temperature where we're going to get the best air intake without a whole lot of humidity. But all we got right now is 80 degrees in October in Oklahoma. We haven't seen 70s yet, but still getting a good tune out of it. So back to this for a second. Like I said, I've got this set up to tune on both cylinders on each gear, and in the Power Commander software I've got the auto tune turned on right here. You go to configure. I require a runtime of 300 milliseconds or 300 seconds. That's 5 minutes. Max enrichment trim 20%. Max enleanment trim 20%. That means for that session, which is important now to go in there often and accept the trims. I'll show you that in a second. So it's not just going to throw 80% of a fuel change at one location all of a sudden and melt your cylinders or something like that. You're only giving it 20% plus or minus at a time per session. Now, after each session, said we've gone in here and these trims are from the auto tuner. This shows where we rode last time we rode the bike. Gear 4, gear 5. We got a lot of changes at 100%. So we can go into map tools, auto tune tables, and we can accept all the trims. This will apply all of the auto tune trims to the respective fuel tables. Do you wish to apply these trims? Yes. That wipes out the auto tune trims and applies those changes to these fuel tables down here. And now we're ready for another session, another plus or minus 20%. So eventually, after several times of accepting those trims, this table, the target trim, the auto tune trim table, theoretically should go to 0. Sometime or another, you're not 0. It's always going to make some changes. It should just go down to plus or minus couple 3% kind of situation, you know. So important. Accept them often so the new sessions can come in and make changes until we don't need to make changes anymore. One thing to note on this specific bike, I don't know if it's the same with every bike, but if you do happen to find a Power Commander 5, good luck. I got super lucky finding this on Facebook Marketplace, brand new. Thanks again to Josh from Houston for that. But something you have to do is calibrate the throttle position. If you notice on my screen, all of these components on a motorcycle are 5 volts, plus or minus 5 volts. All of this fuel system stuff. Throttle percent, throttle position, 5 volts. Wide open is going to be as close to 5 volts as it can. Fully closed is going to be as close to 0% as it can, or 0 volts as it can. If you notice on mine, I've got the minimum voltage as 4.322 volts. The maximum voltage is 0.645 volts. Reason for that, apparently when DynoJet manufactured this specific model of Power Commander, on whatever bike they tested it on, at some point or another after the fact, Harley reversed the polarity of the throttle position sensor, is the answer that I got from tech support at DynoJet. Or maybe they got it backwards. Who knows? So, you start your bike, you let it get to a good running temperature. Real quick, you crack the throttle wide open and back closed. Doesn't give the RPMs enough time to do much of anything. You're going to make a little bit of noise. Your neighbors will be like, oh my god, but it's not that big of a deal. That's how you're going to get your maximum voltage. Minimum is just when it's sitting fully closed. Once you get your throttle calibration backwards, just take those numbers, swap them around. After you've done all this, you've accepted the trims, you're going to correct some spelling and something right there, capitalize an R. You're going to send the map back to the Power Commander 5, ready to go for the next session. I am not going to be tech support. I doubt very many of you have a Power Commander 5 anymore. I really doubt you're going to find one. At least for this bike. I think I bought the last one on Marketplace. There's still several Power Commander 5s out there for other bikes that I've seen on Facebook Marketplace. But you will not find one brand new. DynoJet has made it very clear they are not going to let any of those be sold by retailers anymore. Sucking on the California teat, like I said in the last video. Anyway, just a little quick setup I wanted to show you. I think that's all I got. Appreciate you watching.